Hello and welcome everyone to this exclusive Fireside Chat hosted by CXNet in collaboration with Avaya. Today, we deep dive into one of the most dynamic shifts shaping customer business, the transformation of customer experience, CRM strategies, and intelligent contact centers. And it's my absolute pleasure to welcome two stellar leaders with us today. Aalok Pradhan, Chief Customer Delight Officer at TVS Motor Company, a visionary who brings deep expertise in blending emotion, customer behavior, and technology for transformative experiences, and Adarsh Kaul, Marketing Director, Asia Pacific and Japan at Avaya, a seasoned expert enabling business across the region to redefine customer engagement using innovative platforms and tools. A very warm welcome to both of you.
Thank you, Nidhi.
My pleasure. So, Alok, I'd like to begin with you here. As the role of CX has dramatically evolved from a reactive service function to a strategic growth enabler. From your leadership lens, what are the top shifts you're observing in customer behavior today, and how should organizations reimagine their CX and CRM strategies to meet these expectations?
Absolutely. Thanks for putting across these on point, Nidhi. Uh, I'll certainly first of all go back to the times I would say 10, 15 years back. Uh, the CX customer experience had only one element to it, which was being gauged on the customer service, right? Precisely when any of the existing customer who has problem, they try to reach out to the organization via available channels, and mostly it was available through toll free numbers or the chargeable numbers. So this was the state of customer experience like few years back. Over a period of time, this has evolved a lot because of two key reasons. A, the customer expectations, and B is certainly the offerings. Over a period of time, I would say the differentiator in the product offering is getting eliminated day by day. Having said that, almost all the organizations have similar product or something similar which is to be offered to the customers, right? Now here customer has an advantage, or rather I would say an edge over the traditional or the legacy way of managing the customer experience. Right from the awareness stage, when the customer is not even a customer, right, the CX starts from that purview till the time customer is with the organization, and even after the churn there is an experience which matters, which certainly rolls up into the customer coming back into the funnel. So earlier this funnel
Yes.
used to have a close end, which doesn't have now. So that is the biggest shift which has happened over a years in the customer experience. And now that being said, the customer experience, everything pertaining to the offering, be it I'll just give one quick example. For an example, somebody who wants to buy a two wheeler into the market, right from the product discovery, that what is the right fit for the product, from the time once one decides to go ahead with either of the brands, the when you walk into the showroom, when you have the product display, when you have been offered as a test ride, once you have the test ride of the vehicle, after that the rest of the formalities, that is there any assistance which is needed in availing the finance options, to the time you have your vehicle with you. And then after, you have the other cycle which comes into the play, certainly where you have regularly needs to be vehicle needs to be serviced. Roadside assistance is also one of the key element which has picked up over a period of time, because you buy a vehicle, and if something happens to your vehicle on the road, then how effective is your roadside assistance, which is helping come out of the situation where you are standard as the customer. So these entire elements have started plugging in into the customer experience. And this example is pertaining to automobile for now, but I mean, you can go across the table, whatever product, offer, SaaS, CPaaS, everywhere, wherever there is a business transaction happening, customer experience is one element which needs to be top notch in order to tick mark all the boxes what you have. So this is one big shift which has happened over a period of time, and that is why customer experience is evolving day by day. Going forward, it is going to be much more essential, because the customer stickiness is also one of the parameter which comes into the attribute. and has to be achieved through giving the best in class customer experience. So that's where I will take a pause if any follow up questions.
No, I totally agree on that. And thank you for your insightful perspective here. Now, Adarsh, let's bring technology into this conversation. There's a lot of buzz around intelligent contact centers, but many still view them as a cost center rather than strategic assets. So, how are organizations shifting this mindset by using AI driven contact centers and CRM platforms to not only resolve customer issues, but also create delight and long term value?
So thanks, Nadi, for the question. Honestly speaking, first of all, I completely echo to what Alok said, and if with his permission, I would love to dovetail into some of the example that he kind of took across. You know, uh, given the position that he is in today, right now, and the schematics of the position that he's in, no longer the contact center, as used to call it, 15 years back, is a contact center. Those days have gone. We evolved from a contact center story, rather at Avaya, and you know, considering the fact that I am uh, seeing this day in and day out with what our teams. By the way, I have Anurag with me, who's the enterprise sales lead as well. So the amount of the definitive work that these guys are doing across with customers. It's no longer the story of a contact center. The contact center has now become a connection center. That's how we would love to look at the storyline changing going forward. And I think what Avaya has been doing across from a tech perspective, there could have been better people answering this, but I'm still a marketing guy at the end of the day. And I would love to put my thoughts across in the marketing purview as to what Alok kind of pointed out. So today, uh, it's a connected journey for anybody who's coming into, and I'm gonna go back across down to the customer from a funnel perspective. Somebody's got to do a proactive reach out. That story needs to dovetail across into the response that he's getting across from the connection center. That needs to dovetail and correlate across down to the web chat that he's trying to do, or the other mediums, which are like the social media mediums that he's using across. So at the end of the day, getting all of these angles together across down to the final person who's actually sitting across behind the screen and trying to handle a customer's query, a customer's request, a customer's preference. All of that on a single screen, integrated across, is the way going forward to address a customer requirement or a customer need. And just to give you a sense of it, for example, and I'm going back to automotive again. How do and I'm a buyer. I want to put myself in the shoes. So first, Alok would probably create simulators across where I can simulate the bike, where I can simulate the vehicle. You know, I would put in my own preferences out there. I would want a red colored or a blue colored bike or a white colored bike with radials and seats which are like absolutely swanky. That data is captured across. Then I have an interaction across from a perspective of a social media platform, which I like, and I specifically like an offer. The bike is offered to me at, let's say, at a certain financial term, which is pay 10% right now and then 90% over the next 2 years or something like that. And I'm just saying, at the end of the day, there's so much of information for Adarsh or through Adarsh, which he's actually collating across from a preferences perspective. That needs to be available across down to Alok or the representative of Alok who's sitting behind a monitor when he's actually looking at connecting across with others, trying to make that pitch, trying to close out that
Yes.
certain deal. Now, that's where our solutions come across into play, wherein we as I say, we just no longer that storyline of just that connection center, contact center in which somebody's calling up and a round robin call is happening or whatever. The idea is now that others who had initially spoken across down to, and for the take of names, X, that X handles others throughout the customer journey. And X is completely aware of how the entire customer journey, the touch points are all available across on a single monitor, which is then monitored, and then appropriate communication is done across with the customer. And that's something that we've been working for a very long time. And the good is this thing that there is proof of putting across from what we do. Because at the end of the day, that's how the contact centers evolved from the contact center to the connection center, as now at Avaya put out. So I hope I've kind of assimilated across. I didn't use buzzwords across from a perspective of, voice bots and chatbots. But all of this is part of the journey in any case. At the end of the day, all of these play across in a very strong role in sustaining and creating a cohesive environment of a connection center, which kind of gives the customer the preference that he's looking at and enables the person sitting behind voice enabled connection center to kind of make the appropriate pitch. That's my take across of things.
Yes, very rightly said. Of course. So now that we have laid the groundwork on both the strategic and technological fronts, to take this conversation further, I'd now like to hand over this to Adarsh. He'll lead the next segment by engaging Aalok in a more pointed conversation around leadership, personalization, and the future of contact centers. Adarsh, over to you.
So yeah, thanks, Nidhi. As I said, Alok also at heart, I'm sure. So Alok, my questions will primarily be more from the perspective of how does the contact center kind of change from a prevailing perspective for you. So how do you envisage the role of the contact center per se in your current business? That's one. Second, uh, everything is hyper personalization. Even when I took my example, because at the end of the day, it is others that you're trying to sell across. So how does the entire outreach for a large corporate, which is almost FMCG, I know that you don't sell like milk, but you still sell lesser than milk from a perspective of the way you sell your bikes across the country and the globe. So how does an organization kind of tackle that up, in your perspective? And it'll be really wonderful to get insight in that.
Absolutely, and thanks. I think this is, I would say, something similar to solving the enigma, which was done during the World War II. That's something which is still not completely uncoded in my view. Contact center role. First of all, I'll certainly have a couple of my thought process, which I personally try to put across while leveraging the contact center as the service, not exactly as a call center. And what you rightly mentioned, and how you dwelled into the topic earlier to this, Adarsh. One, the precisely contact center are known for and there are two folds to it. The customers are becoming smarter over a period of time with the usage of the technology, right? Earlier, if we see that whenever there is a problem, there used to be the first layer of defense, which used to be standard SOPs. Now the standard SOPs are over a period of time happening are going as a DIY solutions any which ways with the customers, right? Let's say if a two-wheeler not getting started, the customer already does know that what he or she needs to do in order to give it a start. He or she will reach out only if they are not able to resolve the problem. And I believe customers are also taking a good pride in order to solving the issues. The first point here is that I will dissect into the three parts. One, in my opinion, no support is the best support, right? Ideally, the issue should not arise at all. That's number one. So that's something which has been taken care by the product development, etc. And then there is a constant two-way communication happens between the customers and the product teams, while product team certainly doesn't go and speak to the customer, but there is a lot much of insight which gets catered to them through the contact centers while there are the interactions with the customers. So one thing is that products are becoming smarter. Second, the customers are also becoming smarter because DIY solutions are already there. I mean, if I'm expecting X thing to be done by a customer, he or she must have already done that, because that's how we educate them through the manuals, through the outreach, is that if something is gone wrong, this is how it can be fixed. And the third one is that whenever there is an issue, customers do expect that to be resolved ASAP. The patience level, or rather I would say, and then that's the general tendency even now. If I talk about myself, even I don't have a patience. If something has gone wrong, I want that to be resolved ASAP. contact centers are evolving is that rather, in a generic way, raising a ticket, it going to somebody else looking into the problem, then finding that what is happening. There is so much of evolution which is happening is that over a call also, I can simply request customer to do a video call, and this is actually a proof of concept that we are also running, that will simply patch customer on the video call, right? And understand what exactly is the issue, is the underlying issue can be something else, and then tackle that issue. So this is what the customer's expectation has been, which also have underlying element of hyper personalization. So when we talk about the hyper personalization, this is the information about the customer which needs to be used in an effective manner. Certainly not taking away the customer privacy, but knowing the customer is one of the element which is now made available for contact center executive. That let's say for an example, okay, Adarsh has called after let's say 3 months. When Adarsh spoke about an issue, the agent is already aware about the last instance what has happened. There are few data points through telematics which is also available with Aalok as an contact center agents, who can certainly tell others that others, I know that I absolutely understand the what issue you're facing, but the underlying challenge is why this is happening. Maybe how you're supposed to ride, the load what you're supposed to carry on your two-wheeler. For an example, I can give you that, okay, this scooter will give you the best mileage with X load, but if you're carrying Y load, certainly the mileage of the vehicle will go down. So those smart conversations and along with the hyper personalization is something which is taking over. And the third bit is that, again, the technology, it plays the same role with the contact center agents also, right? Now if you ask me that if I have to travel from point A to point B, the first thing what I'll do is that I'll put it on maps and get to know that what road I have to take. Earlier we used to recall this everything. So it is really very important for agents to have this knowledge retention with them, as to that what is an appropriate question to be asked, what is an appropriate answer to be given, and in a backend as a technology which is working on giving this prompt to the agent, so that the scope of errors or scope of the human error gets minimized. So this is how I'm being envisioning the contact center playing the role. And this is just one bit of it, which is the customer service. There are other bits also, where the direct marketing is there, customer outreach is there. You certainly put across a point about how do we do the customer outreaches. So there are a lot much of different segments, right? For an example, I might be riding TVS Jupiter as one of the vehicle, right? And it has been five years already, which means that I may need a new vehicle. So that's when I have to tap into the customer and ask that, okay, the vehicle what you're riding is 5 years old. Why don't you have a look at our new offering? And what we can do is that these are the benefits you are getting since you have been a valued customer of TVS for over 5 years. CDP is also one of the technology or underlying technology which is evolving with the greater aspects. I get to know that if there are any underage children who are turning 18 this year, that's where I can prompt as an outreach that, hey, happy birthday, you have turned 18 today. Why don't you have a ride of TVS Apache? It's gonna be looking best when you ride it. So these are the sort of uh, uh, evolving technology which is helping in both a to gain the market share, b having the more conversion versus the leads, and three having the customer being with us for longer period of time. So yeah, that's what
Hey, look,
that's how it
that's
is.
absolutely lovely insight, Alok, honestly. Alok, you know what? While you actually spoke like a marketer on this one, yeah, you actually kind of stole the thunder from a marketer. But having said that, you're still a tech guy. I'm gonna change my inference on the question, although you kind of answered a lot of the stuff in the first one itself. From a
Uh-huh.
tech perspective, when you look at adopting a product, okay, and I'm
Mhm.
sure that would have something on the board right now as well. But what do you envision across in a product which is primarily a contact center that it should essentially have from a perspective of future proofing your requirements? Let's say you start in circa 2025 and you take it up to circa 2030 or 2035 because tech evolves in any case. So what is it that you would envision across in a product that would, or it should have, from a perspective of future proofing your requirements, and from a perspective of the tech right now? So uh, for example, you could probably tell me this thing that it should not be round robin pickups, or it should not be just a CPaaS or just a CCaaS or whatever. So I'm just going across from a tech perspective. What is it that you would look at, the 10 specific features that your uh, connection center going forward should have, which should at least last you a time frame of technology phase out of, let's say, 5 years?
So certainly, I have had my wish list already. I mean, and that's precisely I'm working on. Adarsh, and thanks for asking the relevant question. The first wish list itself is that minimum number of windows or screens for an agent to toggle around, right? That's the way basic requirement. Understand, if I'm talking to you and if I have to toggle around on the screen, I'm losing the eye connect also, right? So that is also something which is very important. Understanding the contact center experience, that there are lot many agents who are sitting side by side, toggling the window, copying something, pasting it somewhere, then getting the information. That information also comes as a laundry list. You scroll down and find out the right information. So this is very lot much of mundane task for somebody to perform. While technology has an ability to throw everything whatever is relevant, and that's how the layering on the CRM happens. That when as a product leader, when you're putting across the product roadmap, certainly know that what's going to be benefiting you. Now if I have to convert that into absolute return on the investment, each second more which I'm spending while I'm talking to you in order to gather the information is a direct cost saving, or rather I would say return on investment for any of the organization. So as I mentioned, first is that as possible, I mean, how the lesser the screens, the better for the agents. B Then comes the B as a key requirement, is that a true omni-channel experience. And when I speak about true omni-channel experience, right now I mean lot much of platforms etc, they claim to be omni-channel, but they are not truly omni-channel. And my underlying element of being true omni-channel is that while I'm talking to you, if there is an email which has been sent to the customer, as per the round robin, that email may go somebody else, right? Whereas while I'm having a conversation with Adarsh, if Adarsh has written some email on a similar context, I should get to know that, hey Adarsh, I got your email, it is already work in progress and this is the update, right? uh, the third thing is that these omni-channel feasibility is still on limited to few of the channels only, not applicable for social media, because they have their own platform pertaining restrictions. I believe over a period of time, those will get eliminated and we will get to see something, talking to each other. But yes, there is a midway solution. A lot many people have found out that, okay, now I know my customer, with my customer's consent, I can save his or her LinkedIn profile or Facebook profile as a bookmark, and that can, work as an omni-channel. So that's a midway omni-channel. But yeah, true omni-channel is something that is a key requirement. And see, uh, nobody wants to be bombarded with communications, right? We have apps across everywhere. I believe on my phone right now I might have blocked the notification of multiple such applications, and that's exactly what customers also want, right? uh, you may not have one carrot for the all customers. Let customers choose how they want the app notifications to perform. I mean, I may need the notification about my important transactions also, which I can put it across as an important ones. As an offering, you offer everything to the customer, but also take customers point in a view that this is what we can give you on the app as a notification. Whenever you want, I'm giving you 100% control. You do whenever what notifications you need. So that's the sort of 360-degree wish list what I have across the platform. Certainly the last one doesn't belong to the contact center, but first two absolutely belong to the customer contact center. And the the last one is uh, AI helping agent to take the decisions. Most of the times, important decisions such as reversal of the uh, transaction. And then certainly I have an experience with e-commerce, and that's why I've spent like good 6 years with Amazon, and that's where this precisely comes up, right? Okay, let's say if my product is faulty and I need a refund or easy return to be processed, and there are a lot much of elements to it. So eliminate those bit of elements which can be taken care by AI, and you empower the agent to take a decision on behalf of an organization, which makes it a smooth ride for customer to have an amazing experience. So this precisely would be my wish list. And otherwise I believe the role of contact center agent is something which is also becoming all the more complicated. So if we empower the contact center agent with all these elements, right, it is a great investment as well as amazing return on the investment also for the organizations.
Makes sense. So that's where I think the story of the connection center part of it for us also kind of goes into it. I get your complete point on this. Thank you, Alok. Seriously, you've actually, yeah, at the end of the day, what you kind of streamlined across is the problems that a decision maker sits across, on when he's sitting across in the CXNet. You kind of highlighted it beautifully. Having
Right.
said that, over to you across if you have any questions across from Alok, because I think I've kind of run out of whatever I had.
Thank you both of you for that incredibly rich exchange. Before we close, I'd like to now invite each one of you to share a quick key takeaway for our audience. So I'll start with Alok. Your perspective, if there's one mindset shift organizations must adopt today to truly elevate their customer experience, what would that be?
Certainly, two key points, I think, and I will keep it really simple. One is that the future of the contact centers, and as Adarsh rightly said, that how it needs to be transformed from contact center to the connection centers. That's one key takeaway that I have from this session. Apart from this, I mean, that there cannot be only one key takeaway. There is a laundry list of key takeaways what I have, but this sits on the top of the table.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. So now, others, to you, from your vantage point, what's the one tech innovation businesses cannot afford to ignore if they want to stay ahead in CX?
See, honestly, there are clearly two perspectives, and great for getting both of us on the board. Alok comes across from a perspective of a solution provider across down to the market at the end of the day. And we are the tech providers, kind of backing up the vision and the thought part of it. I think one of the biggest things that I see, and that's what we have been very consciously working towards at Avaya for all our customers, in a stage of different stages in the commercial sense, a large enterprise down to a mid-sized enterprise. At the end of the day, what's kind of working across from a tech perspective is the integration or the weaving of AI into everything that's happening across for that little conversation, the amount of tech from a AI perspective, which is backing up that individual who's conversing across with the consumer, enabling him across from a perspective, as Alok pointed out, the single screen. Now, the single screen is not going to be a single screen unless and until those inferences are not drawn out from a perspective of what AI is doing across for that person or that tool. So for us as a provider, I think the way AI is kind of integrated across into the product and the way it's now started actually fanning out across in how we are actually enabling the gentleman or the person who's sitting behind that terminal and trying to handle a query, trying to pitch in a product, trying to provide information or trying to gather information across in the way it has to be. I think that's something that's really become something which is truly amazing. And I think it's been almost a decade for me now when I look at my journey with Avaya. At the end of the day, I think from an evolution perspective, this actually is a tipping point from a perspective of the product completely going into a different space and a different phase of how it is actually helping customers solve their problems. So that's my humble submission across on that. And I hope, as I said again, it's a marketer's view towards technology. I'm just looking at it from a perspective of how tech is changing. But, you could have probably asked this question of two different people. the mindsets would be different. But this is what I have, and I presented it open-heartedly. So sorry, Alok, if I was wrong anywhere, but then yes,
No, absolutely bang on. That's the spot for.
No, both of you placed your answers very well. And a huge thank you to both of you for such an inspiring and insightful conversation. You have both helped us understand how future ready customer experience is no longer just about service, but it's about strategy, empathy, and intelligent information. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Nidhi, for arranging this and patching with the other. Certainly, we're gonna have our offline conversation really very soon.
for sure. Thank you very, very much, Team CXNet. Amazing. Thank you, Alok. You've actually enlightened a lot of things which pertain to the industry. Thanks again for your time and for sharing your insights.